How do you answer a poetry comparison question in Section B, Part 1 of the Edexcel GCSE English Literature Paper 2 exam? Well, I'm going to run through it today. So this is the question when you compare two poems from the anthology that you've been taught by your teacher. I'm going to look at the poems from the Belonging anthology. You should allow 35 minutes of this question and make sure you allow 5 minutes planning time. It's also worth 20 marks. Now, you will have one poem in the exam paper that is printed and then just the titles of all the other poems. You'll need to choose one poem that you will compare with the poem that's in the paper. Once you've chosen the poem you're going to compare with, you need to decide 3 main ideas of comparison. Now, it's really important that you compare throughout your answer rather than doing one poem and then the other poem. So I suggest that you use the following structure. Peter, see, Peter. Meaning point, evidence, technique, explanation, refer to context, comparative connective, and then you repeat it all again with your choice of poem. Now, this ensures that you analyse the language with the T for technique and that you include context with the R, refer to context, as this is what the examiner is looking for. Okay, so let's go through a question. Now, I'm going to use the June 2023 question, and Captain Cook was the poem that was printed in the exam. Now, the question was, compare how recollections of the past are presented in 2 poems. Now, the first step is to decide what the key focus of the question is. And in this case, it's recollections. Now, recollections is just another word for memory. And I then have to choose which other poem I'm going to compare it with. And I'm going to compare it with I Remember by Thomas Hood. The next thing I have to do is that I have to decide my 3 key ideas. Now, remember, it's always important that you talk about the form of the poems, as this will get you more marks. So my 3 ideas would be happy childhood memories, innocence of childhood, and being at one with nature. I'm going to walk through one paragraph now, and I'm going to choose my first idea, which was the happy childhood memories. So, starting with my point. In both Captain Cook and I Remember, childhood is looked back at fondly. In Captain Cook, Landon recalls the happy times she had playing with her brother. Evidence. She remembers we lived again in its pages. We were its chiefs and kings. Technique. The playful imagery depicts their games as children, with the metaphor, now explanation, emphasising how absorbed they were by the adventures they read together. Now, I could stop there, but I'm going to go a little bit further in order to increase my marks and show the examiner that I really understand language. The use of the collective pronoun we demonstrates how close she once was to her brother and how she is nostalgic for those happy times together and those memories. Now, refer to context. Landon and her brother Whittington had a very close relationship as children. She even later supported him through university. However, this relationship broke down and did not remain the same in their adult life. Now on to the next poem. Now we need our C, comparative connective, to show the similarity or difference. In this case, we have a similarity, and I'll follow it with the point. So, similarly, Thomas Hood's poem, I Remember, also evokes joyful memories as a child. Evidence. The first stanza starts with a childhood memory when the sun came peeping in at morn. He never came a wink too soon. Technique. This personification of the sun, explanation, creates a cheerful tone and implies that the sun was his friend, keeping watch over him and ensuring he was safe. Again, I'm going to continue a little bit more to gain more marks. The verb peeping is childlike and frivolous, contributing to the joyful and happy memories he recollects. Refer to context. Hood was plagued throughout his life with illness and eventually became an invalid at 41. Through this poem, he recalls happier times of childhood to escape the suffering and struggles he endured in later life. Now, that might seem like a really long paragraph, but it's so important that you compare as you go and make sure that you plan those 3 ideas before you even start. Remember to keep an eye on the clock throughout your exam.